go.
All right. So what do
Perfect.
you want to say anything before we start it? Like what
Yeah.
is this? Why does it hit home with you? Like I said, I've watched this, but it was like 4 years ago, so I really don't recall entirely what it's about.
I'm actually really surprised I was able to find this in my history.
Really?
Because it was way back there. It was like 4 years ago. And
for a second, you were digging pretty far. I was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm trying to find this video," and then all of a sudden you found it. So,
because it's well, anyway, doesn't matter. But anyways, when I looked up this video is when I was hanging out with a guy who was a pretty decent guy. I really enjoyed spending time around him. You know him because I told you about the thing, but I don't want to say his name on here. But anyways,
smack this.
And it was always, he was always like super dominant in a really way.
No, totally.
And I hated it. Like everything we did was a competition, and it's like I'm probably like 7-8 years older than him, and so it's like,
oh wow, okay,
yeah. So it's like there is stuff.
I didn't realize he was that young.
There's a lot of stuff that I have a lot of confidence in that I know how to do because I've been doing it for 15 years already.
Yeah, because you guys are in. Yes, I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's like we do similar stuff for work, but I've been doing it for a lot of years, and I'm not like saying that I'm like a master at what I do. But there's some stuff that I do that I know I'm good at. And it's difficult when somebody's like challenging you when it comes to everything, and it's just like not everything has to be a challenge. You don't have to be better than me at everything. It's like I'm fine when he's better than me at stuff. It's like doesn't matter. It's like, yeah, you're better than me. You should be because you've done it more, and like I'm glad you're better at it because now we can get it done. But to have somebody that's constantly like kind of passive aggressively like degrading you, and like trying to build themselves up to like a certain point of status.
Yeah.
It's like
I'm trying to associate it in my own like something that I can relate it to, but I'm having a hard time. So maybe I'll come up with something in the middle of the video. But I remember you talking about this back in the day, and I remember you showing me this video. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
That was like 4 years ago. Back when my ex-wife and I were still together. And I remember watching it and being like, wow, that's a good video. So I'm curious if I'll catch, because I only watched it once. I only watched it that one time you showed me. So it's not like I watched this and was like really resonated with it. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious to see if I'll pick something up different. If it'll resonate differently with me all these years later.
Yeah, so that will be interesting because you've obviously had a lot of life experience since then. But is there anybody at your work that you constantly feel like is like trying to like outdo you or degrade you or anything like that?
I can say honestly no, because I work with mostly women.
Okay.
So it's not saying that women don't do that, but it's just not something I've come across in my line of work currently.
Yeah. What about when you were in the band, or when you're dealing with your ex-wife's brother or something? I
honestly, like I've talked to you like personally, like the good times I had with my ex-wife's brother was like, he was like really awesome. You're in the band. Shoot. It was the singer was the other guitar player, and that was me at the time. He never really tried to compete all that much with me, because I think he knew that my play style was way different. He wasn't trying to be like the most shreddy guitar player. I definitely held that more of a high regard.
Okay.
As like somebody who would move their fingers a lot more. He was fine with just playing the standard like A minor, D, E minor. Like he was fine with doing that. Like maybe toss an F in there to add a different sound to it, and toss a few bar chords in there. I was the one that was supposed to, didn't always succeed at it, but I was the one that's supposed to add the flair to it. So
right, but he wasn't like constantly like trying to compete for status with you. Or
no
anything.
way. He like, honestly, I'll give this to him. There was a few times. I want to say it was at least one time, maybe two times. He introduced me. I remember one time specifically. Even though we had a falling out, I can still say this one of my better memories of like being in the band and stuff like that was we were at Luigi's Fun Garden, I believe it was called. I don't think you ever went there when one of the shows, but he introduced me as like he was just kind of, we were kind of building the show up, you know, like trying to hype the crowd up. And he introduced me. He's like, and the best guitar player I've ever met, Donnie Weatherly. And I totally Then I went and fucked my side up. I was just like, I was trying to be funny and I played like a wrong note on purpose. But like as I did it, I was like, no, that was not funny whatsoever. So, and I remember he kind of looked at me and was kind of like, dude, like, and I was like in my head, I was like, I know, I'm a fucking piece of shit. I get it,
dude. That's funny to me, but anyways, well, it's like everybody's come across people that are like,
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about, though.
But
when it comes to people constantly trying to like, you're here, and they just want to go and knock you down, and then they want to be up here, and then you're like, well, and then you naturally just come up here, and they're like, no, and they knock you back down.
What you're doing with your hands there makes sense to me, because it's not like you're here, and then they want to come up here. It's like they want to come up and just push you down. Mm-hmm. It's like they're not trying to be better than you; they're trying to make you in a lower position.
Totally.
It's like if I was good at something and somebody wanted to be better than me at it, that's one thing, but when they like try to push you down. That's, I don't know.
They try and go in the same spot, but they don't want to share it with you. They want to.
Yeah.
They want that spot all to themselves. It's like going to, it's like going to the beach, and it's like you're like you're taking a girl there or something like that, or you're taking some buddies or some friends. Like this spot is super secluded. Nobody ever goes there. You go there, and there's like 2 people there, and you're like,
yeah.
And you're just like, this sucks. I don't want to share this freaking mile-long beach site with anybody. I want this entire area all to myself. Like, so.
I think where we see, at our age now, especially, we see this a lot when it comes to like relationships and like being around girls and stuff. It's like if you're with a good friend where one's talking to a girl and the other one can just be like totally supportive of that. And can like if you were talking to a chick and I'll be like, dude, this guy right here, best guitar player I've ever met. It's like, that's how you like encourage and like build each other up.
No, totally. I know where you're going with this.
If I was to come up to the girl and be like, oh yeah, you like Donnie? Huh, that's interesting. Yeah, well I work with endangered lizards.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
Like,
it's like I saw a meme on Reddit one time. It's just like, when you're talking to a girl and then all of a sudden all your friends are comedians.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And like just intentionally bringing up embarrassing stuff you've done,
or they're just clearly trying to be funny and just get like this girl you're talking to, their attention. It's like, dude, can you not be about it?
Yeah. But anyway, we're already 8 minutes in and haven't even started it, so let's cream pie this.
What's up, everybody? This is Charlie from Charisma on Command, and today I want to help you deal with people in your life who are being passive-aggressive. You can use this from anyone, from a friend to a coworker, someone that you've just met at a bar or a party. One simple caveat that I'll give you: this will work, but be careful when using this on people who have leverage over your life. For instance, your boss. Because, as you'll see, one of the steps and several of the steps are to call it out, walk away, and basically remove that person from your life. Difficult to do if it's your boss. So we'll have other strategies for dealing with conflict when it's with superiors, but this is one that you can use in many, many situations. That said, this is an interview with Robert Downey Jr. He's doing a press junket for Age of Ultron, and in this interview, the interviewer, out of left field, starts asking him questions about his drug history, his relationship with his father, stuff that is just inappropriate and directed to get a rise out of him. So I want to start where the interview is still copacetic, still cool, and you can watch it devolve in the first 15 seconds.
He's becoming a much more likable character as well, isn't he?
I suppose
a better
so.
man.
Yeah, he's becoming a better guy.
In a way that you are as well, I suppose.
Sure.
I mean, what I'd really like to ask you about a quote you gave to the New York Times. And
you see that look on his face. We often have this moment where we can tell that something is coming. There is a trap about to be sprung. Somebody's about to unleash their passive aggressiveness on us. Robert just kind of has to wait and take it because it's not aggressive, and this really is step one. What I'll say here is look at...
Now, I don't know if I necessarily have an example, but I totally saw that look that he brought up on his face. He was like, when he said, I want to bring up a quote that you, for whatever, New York Times or whatever you said, and he was like, kind of looked like, okay, where's this going? Like that kind of feeling. You're like, all right, it's like, why are you bringing up New York Times? Okay, so like my logic when it comes to like celebrities, they I don't know, the vibe I get from Robert Downey Jr. is that he is actually a really smart person that just happened to be famous as well. Like maybe he did well in school, just naturally. Even if he didn't do well in school, he just naturally like learns well. Probably no like disabilities or anything. Just like school maybe made sense to him and stuff like that. So he can maybe, even if it didn't, like just in general, he has the personality that can just pick up on stuff. Like he's like, So it's like in this interview, he was like, okay, why are you bringing up New York Times? Because also, the person talking about this video openly, like he already says, like, okay, I'm going to start this video at this point. So this isn't the entire interview, obviously. So maybe everything leading up to this point, it would be like, why are you bringing up a quote from New York Times or whatever? Like maybe all the context of it would make more sense.
Yeah. So what we were talking about earlier, when I said something about you're talking to a girl and all your friends become comedians, that what just happened right here just gave me this image in my head of you start talking to a girl and then one of your so-called friends comes up and is just like, hey, you remember that time you ate Mexican food and pooped your pants? And you're just like,
you're like,
jeez, it's like...
You're like, really?
Thanks for helping me.
Yeah, no, it's like if you were alone, you'd be like, dude, I totally remember that time. But then you're like, it's almost like you're not necessarily immediately angry at them, but at the same time, you're kind of like,
they did that maliciously.
You're like, where? Yeah, you're like, where are you going with this? Like, if this was it, I could deal with it. But it's almost like you almost know. You're like, okay, where's this going? It's almost like you know, but if it was like, if it stopped right there, you'd be like, yeah, I do remember that. And then you kind of give them the look and they're like, oh, whoops.
Yeah.
Like, wrong time. You're right. I'm sorry. I've had like 3 drinks and I'm a little ballsy, like kind of thing. Yeah. But that's the kind of look where it's almost like you're like, where's this going? Huh? So,
yeah.
I don't know. I've always liked Robert Downey Jr. But I'm curious to see. I just watched even just a little snippet. I'm like already like kind of hooked. Like I don't remember enough that I'm super interested to see where this goes.
Yeah, same here. Like I haven't seen this for as long as you haven't seen it. So
really, all right. Well, let's keep going.
The eye contact to come. Robert continues to look right back at this guy while he can hold his gaze. The important thing here is something that you can take is that when someone is being passive aggressive with you, oftentimes they do not have the guts to be outright aggressive. They're trying to hide that. So just by looking them in the eye with a steady gaze, you can often deter that, right? They will many times backtrack on what is said. Not the case in this interview, but a great step one. Hold strong, steady eye contact. Let that person know that you know what's going on without saying a word.
I don't want to pry, so if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. But what you said to the New York Times once was, it was after your incarceration.
Just super quick. Did you know? It's almost like he was looking at other people that might be in the room. He's like,
yes.
He's like, wait a minute, what's going on? Like this is not what this is supposed to be about.
Yeah, like
he's almost kind of looking for reassurance for other people. Like, are you seeing this right now?
Yeah.
Like, is this a group thing, or is this guy just derailing on his own?
Yeah.
Or was this like talked about prior? Like he's like kind of that like if I was like, am I right? Like, and I look at you and I'm like, dude, like back me up, like kind of thing.
It's like, am I the only one seeing this right now? Do you guys see this too? And then what he was saying about eye contact, look how this guy is looking down and looking away. Like he's not even looking him in the face when he's saying it.
Totally.
But
I wonder, I'd be curious to see if he reconnects that eye contact, or if he because Robert Downey Jr. is obviously a good-looking dude, right? So I would say he's better looking than this guy. So I'm just curious if he's gonna like just grab his nutsack and like try and maintain the eye contact and fail at it, or if he's gonna like So I don't know. We'll see.
And you said you can't go from a $2,000 a night hotel suite to a penitentiary and understand it and come out a liberal.
And you see, that's just like a piercing gaze that he has. He is letting him know that he knows what's going on.
And I just wondered what you meant by that.
Well, the funny thing is, and I appreciate your point of view, things that you said 5-7 years ago, or things you said in an interview that made sense to you at the time, I could pick that apart for 2 hours. And
So interestingly enough, and this is actually what I recommend you do, you'll notice that he's answering the question at pretty much face value, which is what you'll often want to do when you sense that someone is being passive aggressive. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Many times that eye contact will deter them, they'll stop being passive aggressive, or you just might have misinterpreted. So rather than jump down someone's throat right away or constantly be creating conflict, give them for one try the benefit of the doubt. Answer their question, do what they're doing at face value.
be no closer to the truth than I'd be giving you some half-assed answer right now. I couldn't even really tell you what a liberal is. So therein lies the answer to your question.
The statement sort of stands by itself, doesn't it? I mean, does that mean you're not a liberal, or that you came out of prison not being a liberal?
Notice this here. This is what I call a warning shot. So he's given him the chance to stop going down this line. He's explained to him that he has no idea how to even begin answering this question. The guy persists. So right here, you will see he gives him a good-natured warning shot.
Are we promoting a movie? To me, the thing is that it's...
And then again, still back to good-natured.
I'm certainly not going to backpedal on anything.
I like that. He's like, I thought this interview was about my movie that we're talking about here.
Yeah.
And then, but something I've noticed, at least maybe the guy talking about the video will bring it up, but the interviewer, he's if you watch him, he is maintaining eye contact. So he's clearly, at least feels like he's like, yeah, this is my job.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so he's trying to trip Robert Downey Jr. up.
Yeah.
By, I guess, matching all this super unsaid stuff that like happens.
Oh man.
Like that, like literally split seconds at a time.
When this happens to you, it's like a lot of times it happens so fast, like you don't even know what's going on.
Totally.
You're just like, what's going on?
And
it's we were just friends like 5 minutes ago, and I'm going to use the girl analogy, and then this girl came up, and then from us being super close friends, now you're like pulling this weird like passive aggressive BS. It's like
totally.
And you don't want to like what he's saying about the warning shot. You don't want to just jump to the gun and be like, this is what you're doing and this is why you're wrong, because then you look like the jerk.
Totally.
So,
because they'll be like, whoa.
Yeah, and then you look like the jerk. You know?
Totally, yeah. Because that's when everybody starts paying attention. Is when they go, whoa. Or no, I guess when you start making comebacks is when they start paying attention. Mm-hmm. And they're like, huh? What's going on? And the guy's like, whoa. And then him whoever the other person is, boy or girl, whatever, when they start looking, I guess, on the defensive side, immediately they see the wrong second of a 2-second story.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Kind of thing.
Like
that. I'm gonna say that was a quote from a movie. I have no credit to that, but that's something that stuck with me for a long time. I can't remember what movie it was from. It was but still, they say it's like, oh, they saw the wrong second of a 2-second story, and it's like that's super true. Like there's so many times where something will happen, and then you're just like, hello, and then you do something to retaliate, or you do something, or something happens after the fact, and then all of a sudden people start paying attention, or things start paying attention. You're just like, where were you literally 1 second ago?
No, like when we were younger and in school and stuff, when you'd have a bully and you'd have the nerdy kid, and the bully would just like subtly pick
just
on
like
the kid all the time,
picking away at him piece by piece.
And then the little nerdy kid or whatever would just like blast him in the face, and everybody would be like, "Oh my goodness, he just attacked him for no reason." It's like
totally.
That's exactly what you're talking about. 2 seconds of the wrong story, or however you put that.
Wrong second of a 2-second story.
Yeah, wrong second of a 2-second story. So I can totally relate to this.
Oh, totally. So, yeah.
Anything I've said, but I wouldn't say Actually, I wouldn't say I'm a Republican or a liberal or a Democrat.
This is important. Oftentimes when people are being passive aggressive, they are trying to box you in with some sort of question to where your options in answering suck for you either way. What Robert Downey Jr. is doing here, rather than just answering his question, is reframing it in terms that he can come out of it as the way that he wants to be perceived, right? He doesn't want to say liberal this, Republican this, Democrat that. That is not a path he wants to go down. So he takes the time to reframe the question as, you know what? I was young. I don't even know what I meant. I could guess at what I meant. Who freaking knows?
I think when I was talking to the person who was doing the interview that day, and that just happened to be my opinion. That's the nice thing, is you can have opinion.
Something that I feel like a lot of people don't take into account is that celebrities especially do like tremendous amounts of interviews, right?
Yeah.
They do. It's almost like they're put on these pedestals that people, the general people, put them on, right? Mm-hmm. And so that causes news outlets and interview people, like whatever, to want to interview them so they can get the clicks, they get the likes, all the cancers. They can make money at the bottom end of it, right? And so they put them on situations like this, or just interviewing. And so they're doing so many interviews that maybe they do 3 or 4 interviews a day, right? And so I feel like it's completely reasonable for a celebrity, a celebrity that's not trying to appease everybody, maybe a celebrity at the beginning of their career when they're not completely like morphed into a ball that Hollywood wants them to be in or something like that. And they actually still have their own opinions and stuff like that. They feel one way one day, maybe a week later they feel another way. I was thinking a month later they feel another way. So I feel like and I feel like that happens to everybody to a degree, but then it's just like to most of us, nobody cares, right? But to celebrities, they literally have millions of eyes on them at all times.
Yeah.
And so it's easier to point out that kind of crap. So when he says, he's like, that was just my opinion that day, it's easier for that to be pointed out when it comes to, because it's like they're constantly doing all these interviews, and it's like they're not doing it because they probably want to. They're doing it because they have to. Their contract says so, and then just the general people put them on these pedestals,
Right.
and stuff like that. It's like there are so many people. Like I feel like women especially, they put them on. They put a lot of celebrities on these pedestals and stuff like that, and they're immediately more attractive, more interesting, more appealing in general because they're celebrities. You know what I mean? Just like they're in movies, they're on the big screen, lots of people know who they are, they make lots of money. It's like whatever, it's just they're celebrities for a reason. So I guess just in general they're more appealing as people, even though they wake up the same way you do. They probably have a really bland breakfast, maybe. Like they put their pants on the same way you do. Like they're just people. It's just they have a lot more eyes on them.
Yep.
So
Opinions, and they kind of change and flow.
Yeah, well,
So he's basically discounted his question by reframing it there. I'm going to jump ahead now. This continues. Actually, let's let it ride because it's fun to watch it just fall apart.
that's life and that's growing older, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you say we're promoting an interview. I mean, promoting the movie.
And if you want, this is just a study in what nervous body language looks like. This guy knows exactly what he's doing. Watch the jittery hands, the lack of eye contact. He's sitting far back in his chair. He just is like fidgeting all the time. This is what nervousness looks like.
I mean, obviously you're doing a promotional round of interviews, and that's why we're talking about the movie. But we also would like to talk a little bit about you, and I don't know how comfortable you are, talking about yourself at the moment.
You have as much time as anyone else will.
Yeah, well, okay, well then let me just ask you a few more questions, and you can answer them if you want to, and not if you don't want to. I mean,
So clearly he's getting upset. He sees he's given this guy the eye contact. He's given him the benefit of the doubt. He's even giving him a warning shot, and this guy continues. So what does he do next? He's going to call it out, and just listen for what comes after this.
well, I think we've got 3 more minutes on our agreement.
Your foot's starting to jump a little bit. You better get to your next question.
Again, this is the first time that Robert has been anything less than good-natured. He is saying in a very clear way, you're obviously nervous. You know what you're doing. I know what's up. Get through this.
you the reason I'm asking about the past is that you've talked in other interviews again about your relationship with your father
and stuttering and stammering, the guy continues to go. So right now, if you watch his chest, Robert Downey Jr. is breathing very, very heavy. He is entering like fight or flight mode, which is common when somebody comes at you, even if it's not in a physical way. This is clearly a pointed attack. He is trying to get a rise out of him. He knows what's going on. So you see he starts to breathe deep. He goes into fight or flight. Some people might freak out here, but notably he doesn't.
The role of all of that in the dark periods you entered and taking drugs and drinking and all of that. And I just wondered whether, you think you're free of all of that, or whether that's still something.
I'm sorry, I really don't. What are we doing?
And this is the most overt call out. This is step 3, 4, where you've gone through. You've given them the eye contact. You said you know what's up. You've given them the benefit of the doubt. You've done the warning shot. You've overtly called out the foot or whatever it is. He very clearly, in plain English, says, what is going on here? This is appropriate if you've given the person so many subtle warnings with the passive aggressiveness. What are you doing is a perfectly fine question in this situation. Maintain eye contact. See what the guy says.
Well, I'm just asking questions, that's all.
Right.
Guy ducks it again, goes with the passive way.
Bye.
And that's it. Walk away. This is the big thing, and this is why I said it can be tricky to do when you're with your boss or something like this. You do not need people in your life who are going to behave like this. You do not have to sit through and stomach any sort of passive-aggressive attack on you. Even if it doesn't feel like an attack or look like an attack on the outside, this person, with the way that they have interacted, is trying to get a rise out of you. Do not freak out. Do not take it. Remove yourself from the situation once you've called it out. And you can look at it. He does it in a very fine, friendly, good-natured way. He doesn't walk away screaming, cursing at the guy. That is the way to handle this situation.
Are you? I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, you're right.
Thank you.
Do you?
You see what? Okay, it's just getting a little dinosaur in your.
No. Look, I don't want to do that.
Thank you.
And then this guy looks at him like, what an idiot you are. And he is. So, hope that has been helpful. The steps, quick recap, are: if you sense someone is being passive-aggressive, hold eye contact. Second, maintain the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's just a weird question. Maybe you're interpreting the wrong way. Third, give them a warning shot. It can be like, I don't know why we're talking about this, but, and then you continue on. Fourth, call it out. You need to just say, what are we doing here? What are you trying to do? And then if they don't stop, remove yourself from the situation. So that's a little way to deal with passive aggressiveness in many situations of life. Hope that has been helpful. If it has, please subscribe to the channel. We'll be doing more videos like these. And of course, if you want to get more of this that isn't on the channel, we always make this offer at the end of our videos. We have an hour's worth of free charisma breakdowns. Robert Downey happens to be included in there. It's part of a course that we actually sell, but you can get this bonus piece right now today.
There we go.
So, I can say the times I've had to deal with passive-aggressive people has only been people that I've been close to. Say when it comes to my family, I've had to deal with it a lot, and also my close friends. Very rarely have I ever had strangers do this kind of crap to me.
No, totally. Honestly, I think it boils down to is simply, dude, you're the real MVP right now, man.
Yeah, this is awesome.
I was not expecting, like, getting something you're not expecting is badass, dude. But yeah, I feel like it boils down to simply as simple as just strangers don't have the balls to do something like that.
Yeah.
They don't know you enough.
Yeah.
Being a celebrity, people know who you are without you having any idea who you are. Mm-hmm. Or sorry, they know who you are without having any idea who they are.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to find that. If you spend freaking 6 years being a celebrity, you're gonna have stuff just spill out of you, just naturally. Like you can't go to the store without buying what are those tangerine cuties, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Robert Downey Jr. buys cuties and he doesn't shop at Whole Foods and buy actual tangerines. Like, and all of a sudden people are just like, what? It's like, I thought, like, oh man, Robert Downey Jr. is healthy. I thought he would at least buy, and people judge you based off that. So it's like, you can't You can't live even a regular life being a celebrity without like freaking cancerous news outlets or the people trying to make some money off of you, basically. Trying to catch some juice. There was a video a while back I watched of Kanye West, actually. I'm not a huge fan of him by any means, but there was a video I watched of him where first, like 5 in the morning, dude. How are you at 5 in the morning? You don't exactly want to be bothered at 5 in the morning, right? He was getting ready to go somewhere, living celebrity, getting ready to hop in a Ferrari or whatever it was, fancy, expensive car he had, right? And there was a bunch of news people or like people looking to grab a story that were like at his house, just trying to pester the crap out of him as he's leaving. And these people have clearly already done their research. They know his cars are outside of his house, so they can get him without trespassing, kind of garbage. And so there is, it was just interesting to watch him keep his complete cool to a degree. Essentially, the worst he did, he's like, "You're a bunch of leeches." And it's like, that's all he did. Like, it's not like he freaked out, was throwing stuff at him. It's like, "Get the f*** out of here, you pieces of f-." Like, he didn't do any of that. He just like, "You're a bunch of leeches." Or like, and just, I forget what else he said, but it's like, that was the worst of it, to my recall. And he hopped in his car, they backed up, and they're just like, "Jeez, what an asshole." Like, couldn't give us a good story. Like, we're trying to make some money here, like, kind of thing. So, being a celebrity, I feel like just isn't as cracked up as it's meant to be, because then people like this, like the guy they're interviewing, they already know more about you than you probably are anticipating, and so then they come at you sideways with all these like the kind of crappies, like, "Oh, your father," like, it's like, who? Like, do you know anything about my dad?
What's the Home Depot?
No. Like, that's my stepdad.
Oh.
So, like, you know what I mean? It's like my real dad. He's in jail because he killed somebody. So, see what I mean? Like, if I was a celebrity, there would probably be like 100 people.
Yeah.
If I was a celebrity, there'd be 100 people that knew that, right? So it's just like, yeah. So I can only imagine it's like being a celebrity was probably, woe is me. Like, oh gosh, like, oh, I can't. It's such a hard life, making $1 million. Like, that's the price of being, like a quadruple millionaire, basically, kind of thing. But still, when you do interviews like this, the interviewee knows more about you than you probably know. So,
Yeah. Yep.
I did notice, I feel like he was looking at, because celebrities obviously have agents and like that. I feel like who he kept looking over at, the only time Robert Downey Jr. broke eye contact when he was looking off screen, I feel like he was looking at his agent, or maybe the head person of the interview. So there's an interviewee, the person who's doing the interviewee. From what I know, which isn't a ton, they're pretty low on the totem pole. There's somebody maybe a little more important. They're still there. You know what I mean? That's in the room with them. And so I'm just curious to know who he was looking at. But I did notice the interviewee kept looking down. He kept looking at his hand. He would break eye contact. He would use his hand as something to look at to avoid eye contact with.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, your father," and he would use his hand to look at his hand as something to break that eye contact.
Yeah.
Like, he was like, he knew what he was doing. He totally knew what he was doing.
Oh yeah.
And he was using his hand. And just various things. Like, so. I don't know.
Yep.
I'm gay.
Let's just eat these hamburgers now.
Yeah. I'm going to stop the video.
Yeah.